Today I'm gonna make a sous vide steak with an Instapot. I have a grass-fed ribeye over here. Looks delicious. When I bought it, I picked the one that is most marbled, so this looks actually really good. This is my Instapot, and you can see it has a sous vide function right here. This is a little temperature chart I have. I like to cook my meat at a little bit under 128 degrees Fahrenheit because I like to sear it afterwards, and this will bring the internal temperature up slightly. Look at this, it's beautiful. If you look at the back, there's a big chunk of fat over here. I guess there's gonna be a little bit of fat. I have some pepper that I'm gonna manually crush. My grinder is broken, so that's why I have to crush this myself. I have some garlic powder over here. Go really easy on this because you don't want it to have a very extreme garlic flavor. The sous vide tends to really amplify this garlic powder, so just go very lightly with the garlic powder, like that. And I got some cumin powder, put some cumin on. You can go a little bit more heavily on the cumin here. Get the sides too. And I have to admit to everyone that I do reuse my sous vide vacuum bag. Yeah, so you just stick it in there, close it. I actually don't have a vacuum machine. I have this Ziploc little pump thing, and you just stick it on this corner. Actually, when it's in there, it doesn't really matter that you have to have it completely airtight. Just make sure this thing is above the water, and also the Ziploc portion is above the water as well. I can just push sous vide, and this is the number of hours. It's set at 2 right now. I can change it in 15-minute increments. I want it for 2 hours. Normally 1 hour would do for a steak, but 2 hours would make it kind of tenderize a little bit more. The temperature, it was set at 130 or so. I want it to be 128. Press start, and it's gonna start bringing up the water temperature up to 128. I'm gonna put this rack in here just so that the bottom of the steak does not touch the bottom of the pot. I got the steak over here, just kind of put it in. And it looks like I need to weigh it down a little bit. And just kind of put this other little metal thing in there. Yeah, that should do it. I'll put the lid on. It started counting down after it reached 128. I'm 3 minutes late, but let's check the temperature. 128, 129, 130. Okay, either my thermometer here is a little off or it got a little hot down there. At the top is 128. At the bottom of this thing is a little bit warmer. So the accuracy of around 2 degrees should be okay enough to make a pretty good steak. Let me explain to you guys why sous vide is so good. Although I don't like the fact that you have to use a plastic bag, it's one of those approved ones so that it doesn't leach so much chemicals into your meat. Think of it when you go to a steakhouse. You eat the perfect medium rare part of the steak. When you do it the sous vide way, the entire steak is at that perfect doneness. Only the very outside crust is charred and seared and slightly crispy. So you're essentially getting more of the steak in the most tender form there is, which is medium rare. Sous vide machines these days are a lot cheaper than before. I remember buying my first one for around $300, $400. This Instapot thing is $129.99 on Amazon right now. It even has that air fryer thing. This is still the dented one that I fixed before. I highly recommend trying to sous vide a steak. It'll be the best steak that you ever made, and you'll probably feel like you never have to go to a steakhouse ever again because you can make it just as good. I'm gonna put in some shiitake mushroom. Oh, these looks delicious. Half of it. I'm just gonna cut them all in half. I have some organic heirloom tomatoes I'm gonna eat, and some steel cut oats for the starch. I'm preparing 1 tablespoon of butter to cook the steak in. I'm heating up the steel cut oats. And I prefer to use a relatively heavy plate. Just put a little bit of water on it. And I'm heating the plate. Just the plate by itself with a little bit of water. Put it in for minute 30. If you put it on a cold plate, it's gonna suck all the heat away from your steak, and your steak is gonna become cold a lot faster. If you have a heated plate, your food is gonna stay warmer longer and it'll be more delicious. I'm getting hungry. There's still 27 minutes left on the timer, but 1 hour would have cooked the steak already. I'm just, you know, a little bit too hungry for this, so I'm gonna take it out right now. Apparently there's a little bit of air pressure. 126, 128. Well, let's just take this out. There's quite a bit of juice at the bottom. I'm going to save the juice because I'm gonna make a gravy out of it. And then we transfer the steak over to a piece of paper towel and you just kind of pat it dry. Why are we doing this? Because we want it to get crispy faster. If it's kind of wet and we put it on the pan, it won't get as crispy. You can eat this right now. It's fully cooked. You don't want this sitting around for too long. You want to cook it right away, right after. I have a pan on high right now. Put some butter. There's 1 tablespoon of butter. I have some starch over here. Here is the juice. A little bit of tapioca starch. It can be any starch. Just put flour or whatever. I'm going to put it into this and mix it around. I'm going to use this later. Of course, we're going to cook this later. Just kind of blend it in there. Now we're going to put the steak on here and only sear it for about 45 seconds, 60 seconds on each side. I can probably put in the mushrooms right now too. Have it cook on the side here. Yeah, this is almost done already. I have the plate that has water in it. I'm gonna pour this out. Just kind of wipe all the water away. And yeah, see, that's a nice crust over here. Don't want to cook it for too long. It's been on this pan about 1.5 minutes. I think this is enough. Look at that. And I got the mushrooms here. I'm gonna put in the tomatoes. Kind of grill it a little bit so it's hot. Now I'm putting in the juice from before. This is the gravy I made. And I put in the rice on the side. So I have this $2.50 wine right here. I got 1 more cup left. That's just enough. Don't want to drink too much. Let me cut into this and show you what this looks like. This will look amazing right here. Medium rare. Very medium rare. Ribeye. Meatiness. I think if I cook it half an hour longer, it would be a little bit more tender. Grass-fed beef tends to be not as marbled, so I was surprised how this was a bit more marbled than usual. The shiitake mushroom smells really nice. It has a slightly better aroma than, I guess, regular mushrooms, but they're quite a bit more expensive, like 2 to 3 times more expensive than your regular ones, but what can you do? Let me cut into the meat of this thing, right in the center. Surprisingly, it's a little bit more well done in the center here. Look at that. Look at this piece. Did you guys know that this is the ribeye? And this part, this little crescent moon shaped part, is a ribeye cap. This actually tastes the best out of the whole ribeye. This is kind of like a little tougher than, you know, the rest of the ribeye. In fact, you can go to Costco and buy just this section over here as a steak by itself. I'm gonna cut into it and show you guys. Right here, look at, oh my goodness. It's almost like filet mignon. It's not as tender as filet mignon, but it's a cross between ribeye and filet mignon. It has this distinctive flavor to it that is different than the rest of the ribeye. Definitely very, very tender. Can I taste a big difference between a grass-fed steak and a regular one. It's like a small difference, maybe 20% better or so. It tastes a little bit better, I guess. Having some tomato, because you gotta have some kind of fiber along with your meat and rice. The ribeye cap. Sometimes when I'm recording, I forget to sort of just put it in my mouth and really taste it. So here we go. Or slow down. Have a little wine. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm not gonna just eat in front of you guys for the rest of the steak, but you get the point. Sous vide steak. Put some mushroom in, heat your plate, sear your steak, dry your steak before you sear it. All the tips and tricks I've known so far, it makes a really, really good steak. Thanks for watching.